Hi Capricorn, welcome to your July 2018 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us once again, which is normally 10 cards, but you got an extra card in the position of the challenger obstacle, and an extra card in the position of the present energy. And as usual, I pulled an oracle card that we'll read at the end to help tie everything together. I see a lot of major arcana on the table for the spread, so this could be a big month for you. At the time I'm recording this, which is the 30th of June, you just had a full moon in your sign a couple days back that was with Saturn, which is your ruler, so that could have been where a lot of this energy is coming from, but we'll see as we go along. Let's start with the cards one by one. In the main situation, we have the Six of Swords. So this is an Aquarius card. It's the 10th through 20th degree of Aquarius. Aquarius is your second house, so this could be saying that you're moving on from a job, potentially. Maybe it was a job that you were hoping would pan out, but you're finding that it's not fulfilling, so you're moving forward from it. It could just be saying on a more mundane level that maybe you're traveling somewhere. Usually, if that's the case, it's usually not a huge trip, but you could just be taking some kind of short vacation. That's possible. Especially if all the energy around you is hectic, maybe you feel like you need to take a break. But with this being an Aquarius card too, it's worth noting that Mars is currently in Aquarius and it's going backwards, so that could slow things up for you financially. And you also have the South Node there right now, so could just be you're feeling stuck financially. And if that's the case, we'll see how you could get out of that as we move forward. In the challenger obstacle position, you had two cards show up. You have the Seven of Pentacles and the Magician. So in the challenger obstacle position, the first thing that comes to mind for me with those two cards is saying that maybe you were having trouble manifesting something in the field of finances. Maybe you feel like you should have been further ahead than where you are. For example, with the Seven Pentacles there. And you could see he looks like he might be tired or just thinking things over. This is technically a Virgo card, and excuse me, not a Virgo card. It's technically a Taurus card with Mercury. So it could be you're thinking about finances. Maybe investments you've made haven't panned out in the way that you'd hoped they would. So maybe you're thinking about pulling out of those investments, whatever they may be. Again, if it's career, you might feel like you should be further ahead than you are. You might feel like you're putting in way more work than is worth it, so you're considering moving on in that regard. But yeah, with the Magician in the challenge position, that's why I feel it is. Or it could just be saying that you're having trouble manifesting, and with Mars retrograde in your second house, that could be it. It could just be holding up your finances. And your ruler, which is Saturn, is in your sign, and that's also retrograde, so it could just be slowing things up for you. In the position of the foundation, we have the Seven of Cups. So this could be it as well. Maybe you have a lot of offers on the table and your trouble is trying to decide which one to go with. That's also a possibility. Especially if you are moving on from a job, maybe you're trying to decide which way do you want to go next, and you're not getting a clear answer on that right now. You know, you might be struggling to decide which way to go. That's certainly a possibility. But with the Seven of Cups, usually the way I look at this is not seeing things necessarily as clearly as you think you might. So if that's the case, if there's a lot of options on the table and you're not sure exactly which way to go, try to bide your time a little bit. Like I said, between your ruler being retrograde and then Mars in your second house, if this is related to finances, also retrograde, you might want to try to buy some time for yourself if you can and think it over. In the past position, we have the Star card. So this is actually an Aquarius Major Arcana card, so you certainly could have been dealing with an Aquarius. Let's say if you moved on from a relationship. Maybe you were in a relationship with an Aquarius and you felt that it wasn't moving forward at the pace you would have liked. You're having difficulty bringing it to the next level. So maybe you moved on. That's possible. I mean, they've had some transits going on right now too that have been tough. So maybe you guys just weren't able to get on the same page. Um, this could also be saying that you felt very fulfilled in the past, and now you're seeing something more clearly now than you were before with this energy and then the high priestess there, and maybe you're realizing, oh, this seemed like the right thing for me, but maybe after all it isn't. But the good thing is, in the present position, I see two good cards, which is you have the Empress and the Two of Wands. So the Empress is actually a major arcana card, sometimes aligned with a Taurus energy, but I'd say it's more the fact of Venus. It's not necessarily that you would be dealing with a Taurus, although it certainly is possible. Um, For those of you, if you are looking to expand your family, this could mean a sign of pregnancy, whether you're a male and you got someone pregnant, or you're a female and you're expecting. That could certainly be the case. With the Two of Wands here, it could be saying that's what you're trying to do. Maybe you want to um, have a child, and that's what you're trying to consider. And maybe you're having some difficulty with that, with the Magician and the Seven of Pentacles. So that could also be the case. Something to keep in mind there. But this, again, this is a card of Aries, the first 10 degrees of Aries, and you do have Chiron there. That's your fourth house, so this could be definitely some issue with expanding your family right now. If that's the case, once again, just get the feel and know that if the time is right for that to happen, it will happen eventually. But I'm really feeling more that that's a positive thing, that you're just in a receptive place right now. You're ready to move forward in some way or another. And rather than pushing it, you're saying, instead of beating your head against the wall, that Six of Swords energy there, saying, all right, maybe you're realizing maybe it's time for you to restart. And maybe get back to that feeling you did have at one point. It's also worth noting at the bottom of the deck we have the King of Cups. That's normally a Scorpio card. So maybe you're dealing with a Scorpio, or maybe you're just taking on that Scorpio energy. Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, has been in Capricorn for a while now, so you could just be feeling that. Maybe all of this has you getting in touch with your emotions more than usual. That's certainly a possibility, if not dealing with a Scorpio outright. Scorpio is your 11th house, and right now Jupiter is in that sign, but it's going retrograde. It's going to start moving forward right around the time that there's a new moon partial solar eclipse in your 7th house. So you might start to feel the energy ease up in that area, both the 7th and 11th house come that time, so mid-month of July. But with the High Priestess in your near future position, like I said, you did just have a full moon in your sign, so that could certainly be, especially if it's so close to your ruler, maybe that moon kind of threw you for a loop. And then there's going to be a new moon coming up in your opposite sign. The way I look at this card, to me, is this is someone who has a firm grasp of their emotions. It looks like she has her foot on that moon symbol, but it's right there in front of her. So to me, that represents being in tune with your emotions, but also well in control of them. So maybe that's what's been going on as well. Maybe you've had some emotional difficulties with whether it's confusion, the should I stay or should I go type of energy, and thinking back how you were feeling in the past, and now getting back in touch with that and trusting your intuition. So maybe that's what this is regarding. So you might just feel that energy coming up soon with the new moon, and then, like I said, with Jupiter starting to move forward again, they'll be kind of close to each other to an extent, so you might feel that energy at that point. In the position of your influence on the situation, we had the Page of Pentacles. So this could be you receive communication about a new financial opportunity. That's one way of looking at it. This could even be saying that you're feeling diminished right now. If you were working on something and now you're realizing, again, with that Seven of Pentacles energy, you were feeling that you weren't making the progress you were hoping to make at quite the pace you were hoping to make it at. That might have you feeling like you're behind where you should be right now, because the normal card for Capricorn for me is the Queen of Pentacles. So it could just be saying that if you're a page, you feel like you're below that level. You feel like you should be higher up than you are right now. But if that's the case, you being in a state of receptivity and trusting your intuition, the King of Cups is also a card that could point to being intuitive, but also strong. So could just be saying if that's the case, try to buy some time, really think it over intuitively. It's worth noting that the Magician card, although it's in the challenge position, is pointing both to the Star and the High Priestess. So it's saying maybe if you want to get back in touch with how you were feeling at that point, if you were feeling really like your wishes were being fulfilled, trust your intuition on how to get back to that point. I also view this as a card of ego being dissolved. The reason I say that, and we have the card on the table too, is it comes after the Tower card. So to me, I see the Tower card as divine intervention of sorts that kind of puts your ego back in check. It's there to show you the cracks in the foundation. If you think about it, if lightning were to strike a normal building, that shouldn't take it down, right? So this is here to show you the cracks in the foundation. And that would certainly align with the fact that your ruler is going backwards in your sign right now. It might be showing you, hey, maybe something you thought was stable isn't as stable as you thought. And if that's the case, then maybe a bit of a reset isn't the worst thing that could happen to you. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, with this in the position of the environment, it could be saying that events around you have caused that to happen. Again, if that's the case, just keep in mind, like we said, if this was as stable as you thought it was, then it wouldn't have collapsed like that. So while it might be a tough energy to go through, and no one ideally likes to go through it, just try to have faith that it's going to work out for the best as time goes on. But this could also be if someone was being deceptive with you, because the Magician can sometimes mean deception, usually in the reverse though, but with it in the challenge position, that's also a possibility. Maybe you had someone thinking that they were your wish come true, and now you're saying to trust your intuition. Maybe everything isn't as it seemed. But if that's the case, if they were the one causing the deception with the tower in the position of the environment, that should be exposed one way or the other. Whether you see it clearly because maybe you were under this deceptive energy, maybe even that full moon that happened is what did it, or maybe the new moon coming up in your opposite sign is what shows you what they're really all about. That could certainly be the case. You have Uranus in your fifth house now as well, and it's going to be there for a long time. So if this was a love relationship, that's also a possibility that maybe you're seeing the person clearly now. But just know, if they were the ones that did you wrong, that's the energy that they're feeling right now. So at least the scales are balanced in that regard. In the position of your hopes or fears, we have the Ten of Cups. I'm going to assume that this is a hope of yours. You probably want that stability, that relationship. Like we said there, again, you see the two kids in the card. So if you're hoping to conceive, maybe it is being held up right now, but with these two cards together, you might receive some good news in that area if that's the case very soon. So keep that in mind. Trying to think of what else this could be about. Could just be saying that you want emotional fulfillment. Capricorn is a very hard-working sign typically. So maybe you were making financial progress, right? I mean, the Seven of Pentacles, obviously the guy doesn't have nothing. He has something there, but maybe you're feeling like, yeah, I'm putting in a lot of work, but I'm not feeling emotionally fulfilled. So maybe your challenge is you're wanting to move into something that fulfills you more emotionally. And that's where you're trying to move towards, and you're just not sure if you should make that move or not. That could be the case, but in the outcome position, we had the Knight of Wands. This is normally my Sagittarius card, so it could be a Sagittarius coming into your life, but this could even be the energy that you're embracing, whether it's moving away from the situation or you finally, after trusting your intuition, you decide which way you want to move, and then you make a move from there. Um, like I said, just keep in mind your ruler is in reverse right now, so if you're having a little struggle getting that energy, um, it'll come back around eventually. And Mars, like I said, being in retrograde in your second house, um, that could be wreaking a little havoc on your finances, but it shouldn't be a long term thing if that's the case. But yeah, that's also a possibility. All right, let's take a look at the Oracle card. We'll read the message from there too and then summarize everything. So the card is not for you. And you could see in the artwork there, it looks like a chessboard with a fortune cookie, and you could see the message sticking out from it. Let me see if you can see it clearly. It says nope. And then the number is 6, if that number holds any significance for you. Let's read the messages in it, see what it has to say. And by the way, I should say this is from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed again. All right, so it says essential meanings. A clear knowing that something is being denied you. Rejection is God's protection. And it said that in quote marks. So maybe that's what you're feeling. You're feeling like you're not going to get what you want. So you're moving forward. And like I said, with Tower being divine intervention, as far as if this was as stable as it seemed, that lightning bolt would have came and gone. You wouldn't have even noticed anything. So that rejection is God's protection. If you do feel like you're being denied something, it seems like, especially with all of this major arcana on the table, this is a lot of major arcana. It feels like it's really just that's how things should play out. Doesn't make it any easier to handle if that's the case, but maybe you could take some peace in that. But it says the Oracle's message. There are times when it appears that no matter how deeply you desire something, no matter how hard you work at something, the result you seek always seems to elude you. It's as if you don't really get to be in the game, and you feel like you're just watching from the sidelines. The appearance of this card indicates that you are not going to attain what you want right now, that indeed your dreams for that exact thing will not be fulfilled. This is a time to radically accept that not everything is available to you when you want it. Take heart, for there are benevolent forces who desire the best for you and have a much clearer idea of what is for your highest good. Rejection is God's protection. Something much better that will make you truly happy is on its way. Trust this. So again, I mean, the Six of Swords energy in the main position there, that's typically you're moving on because you're not happy. It could be traveling as well, obviously, or moving on to calmer waters. With this in your hopes, and then the Empress there, like I said, it could be that you want to expand your family. Maybe the person you're with doesn't want to, or maybe you've just been having trouble conceiving. If that's the case, it looks like it's just saying the timing isn't right. So maybe it'll circle back around again. I mean, your planet's not going to be retrograde forever. It'll start moving direct again later this year. Jupiter is starting to move forward again in your 11th house. 11th house is sometimes seen as a house of wishes, so hopes and wishes, so that could help with that energy as well. Just could be a bad timing thing right now. And for some of you, if you're Capricorn rising, let's say, since Mars is still in the earlier degrees of Aquarius, for some of you that still could be in your first house. So that could have you feeling drained and feel like you're really struggling to move forward too. That could be at play if it's not strictly finances. All right. And for those of you if this resonated as more of a relationship reading, we'll read that message. It says, some relationships carry an innate seed of failure in them that is obvious from the beginning. But the red flags escape your observation or you refuse to acknowledge them. When a relationship is not meant to be, it is not possible to make it be. Rejection is a sign that you're being protected by the divine. If you are the one who must reject another, remember that you do so for both your sakes. For every pot there is a lid. This one may not be the best fit. So that could be saying, let's say that these were red flags that you should have been able to see, but you weren't. Happens to all of us at one point or another, so no big deal there. Don't beat yourself up over that. But maybe that's what this is saying: as you get more in touch with your intuition, maybe you're the one who's like, well, I want something more stable, and you decide to move on, and that causes the tower moment for them because they were content with the way things were, even though you wanted more. They were just fine with things the way they were, and maybe you moving on with that Six of Swords throws them for a loop, and they didn't realize that they didn't see that coming. But if that's the case, it seems like that's the right move for you to make if you really truly feel that, and you're starting to see now, like I said, moving from this energy at the foundation to this in the near future, and the King of Cups at the bottom. It just tells me that you're seeing things more clearly in some regard, and maybe it's either that full moon that just happened in your sign or the new moon that's going to happen in your opposite sign soon, around the 12th or 13th. Maybe that's energy at play there that causes this, but just something to keep in mind. All right, and for those of you if this resonated more on a finance level, we'll read that message. It says, you can strategize and project and systemize and invest all your time and energy, but sometimes your best laid plans seem to go awry in spite of it all. Keep in mind that no effort is wasted. Fail fast and learn from defeat. Then keep going. You will eventually succeed, although perhaps not at this game, not at this time. Know when to fold your cards. So if that's what you've been feeling, again, going back to that Six of Swords energy, you feel like, you know what, with that Seven of Pentacles, yeah, I'm putting in work, but I'm not where I feel I should be right now. Maybe this is you saying, you know what, I'm going to take my talent and go elsewhere. If that's the case, and like I said, going back to Capricorns being hardworking, if that's the job that you're dealing with, it looks like that could really throw them for a loop because maybe if they weren't appreciating you the way they should have, they usually would if you when you leave, right? That's how it works. So, maybe when you leave, they'll realize that you were actually a valuable asset to them. But if that's what it took for them to realize it, then maybe that wasn't the best fit for you. If that's the case, I do wish you luck if you, as far as keeping your finances in order. But like I said, you guys are hard workers. Yeah, your ruler is going backwards right now, but you guys should be able to get back on your feet, especially with the Empress here. This is about manifesting as well, just like the Magician is. So this is more of a receptivity thing, though. So let's say you put your resume out there. If that's the case, you might receive a good offer, and maybe that's what this is. Maybe initially it might not seem like it's the greatest offer, but if you move forward with it, you might find that you're able to progress, and maybe this is what this being an outcome means. Maybe accepting a new offer with another company after you feel like you need to move on from the current one, maybe you'll feel like, oh, well, this isn't exactly as good of a job as I was hoping for, but maybe this is saying you'll be able to move more quickly up the ranks in the new company. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, guys, I think that's all the messages we have for now. Good luck to you, and I'll talk to you all next month.